One of the most important things you need to know about Bootstrap is the containers and the grid. These are the major solid blocks in building Bootstrap-based web application. Containers are majorly the fundamental building block of Bootstrap. So within containers, we normally have rows and columns. We'll get to that. But the first thing you need to know here is that containers should usually be the first section in your application. And there are different ways to add containers to your application. The first one is the default, which is the div class container. Whenever you have this in your Bootstrap based web pages, then you can always have your content within the container. So if you have a div with a class container, you're going to have these width specified depending on the size of the screen that is used to view that web application. So if you have a class of container on extra small device that are smaller than 576 pixel, the width of the container would be 100% of that screen. But once you start to move around the different screen sizes, you have the different width that would be defined. If you're on a large device, the width of that container would always be 960 pixel. So let's take a look at having container in our application. So in this case, I have loaded the Bootstrap CSS and the Bootstrap JavaScript. Then within my body, I have a div. The div has a class of container, and then within that container, we can have our content. For us to be able to see what I'm talking about, I'm going to have another div within the div container, in which I will call ID my body. So now I have my body, and within that my body, I would put my content. Now I want to have a styling for my body, so that you can see what we are talking about. So we're going to have a border around that body. Border of 1 pixel to be solid, to be black. So now let's reload the page and see how that looks like. Now you have it. We have a container. That is the main reason why we have the size of the container to be 960 pixel, meaning that this side is left empty. This other side is also left empty. So everything within the container would be within the 960 pixel size if you are on a large screen. If I change this screen resolution to something that is smaller, we are on a large screen currently, and we have that if you're on a large screen, you're going to have the size to be 960. But if you are on a small screen, so the width is going to be 540 pixel. So let me change the screen size and then let's expand a bit. Now you have that. You can see that I have a small screen and the size of the container is 540 pixel as it has been described. But if you have a very small size screen or extra small, something like this, so the container is going to take 100% of the screen, including some necessary padding that is put by default in the containers. Now let me remove the container so that you can see that the container is actually having effect on this page. If I remove the container here and I save the page and I reload it, then you can see that now it takes the full size of the screen. So that means if you're starting your Bootstrap application and you want to have everything to be set based on Bootstrap size, then you always want to have container here. But if you want to have a full width section on your page, then you can always remove the container from that section.